Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Boom, doom, 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 boom, boom, doom, boom, doom, boom, doom, boom, doom. There we go. Boom, doom, boom, doom, boom, boom, doom, doom. Boom, 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 doom, boom, doom, boom. Hey, hey. Copy link. Let's put this into here so I can get it in Discord. Bye. What up? What up? We is live. We is live. Let me just get my screens together. So I got my notes. Because y'all know I can get long-winded. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. All right, let me give folks RTP a chance to get back in here. My bad, King. Got messed up in the game. A brother got messed up in the game. I messed up my graphic. Had my graphic all messed up. Like, had the wrong things. Like, I'm glad when the system's going to be managing this crap for me because, man, I hate the tediousness of social media. I am not a person that talks a lot like this. I talk to my friends like this. So that's what I pretty much consider y'all as at this point. So I just go ahead and I'm like, y'all know I get winded, man. But this way I can disseminate this crap as broad as possible because like I said, I would spend like hours with my my business partner in media and we just talk about this shit. And that's why I'm gonna get Ty on this damn show. I'm get you on this damn show, Ty. I keep messaging you in the Discord. I copy you on every single Cash Lane link, my ninja. I will get you on this damn show, sir. For real, for real. Because we're going to talk about some shit in the past because people need to hear how hard this business is. And one of the things with Ty was Puffy's, one of these subsidiary record labels, one of Puffy's subsidiary, like this, like satellite companies. And these little spin-ups are like people that he funds to be able to scout. And all of them have that. Like even Jay-Z saw that ish, and that's why he has Rock Nation now. Because the hustle was, well, why just stop at what you do with a rapper when you can take the same thing? You're an entertainer. You're some type of product and or service. Like if you look at a ball player, he's no different than a rapper, and he can get sponsorships, and rappers could get sponsorships. So it's the same. So it was not a big move for him to pivot into where he's doing. And that's why this whole topic today about we are all media companies, like I want y'all to get, even when I tell y'all to get used to yourselves as record labels, I'm really just prefacing that because it's the lowest laying fruit, right? It's the easiest one to get into, to put it in your mind, because when I jump off the roof and tell you you're all freaking media companies and you are part of a media industry, so you own a percentage of the entertainment industry, and then you look at the entertainment industry as its total value sum, and then you're getting royalties out of that, then y'all are you're part of this media industry. So what's your percentage? Right? What's your percentage then? It's plain and simple. And it's to get to that level, I want to rewind it back and say your record labels, because you can get royalties, period, right? CD baby, upload, done, okay. And that's part of the stuff I'm going to show in my training series. Like I was talking to my lady about it, and she's excited about it because I'm excited because I get to get back into recording, but I've been getting prepared so that I want to show y'all how I make the songs that you see done. Right. And that's part of this subscription plan that I'm rolling out. And the only reason it's a subscription plan is because that's cash flow for me to just work on this project. So I can put 100% into it and not concentrate on, I got to pay rent. Like, look, Recession is Recession type beats. But I want to build this content because if I build this, huge. And I learned this in Jay Bravo. I want a shout out to Jay Bravo because his whole cryptocurrency course, that idea, I was like, oh, that's kind of dope. And plus, I told y'all where I worked at before. Y'all can just look at my if you look up J Jeffrey TrajicK and you look at my my LinkedIn, um, like I've worked with influencers, social media influencers, and part of that talk today is about that as well, is what I learned from that entire experience. Um, the fact is that we are dealing with a change in something I've been telling my friends for years. I've been saying, y'all, I'm kind of worried because I write robots. And since I write robots online, like it's not like I write a robot that's a physical robot, but I write robots. Let me show you a screen. Hold on. Now I sent a screen to a client. Hold on. So I can actually show you the conversation. So it actually just stays in context. So here. So that's transparency, man. I'm about that transparent life. So I'm asking this company, Zano, the one been telling y'all about for weeks. And I sent them a message. And I told them basically that I want to be able to, I had to create a variable to be able to have notes inside my code in Xano. So I write enterprise level applications. So I showed them one of the things that I was done for a client in which I have these comment notes in here, and I could map out a piece of software or map out a function that I'm working on like this. So what I mean is, because I'm trying to, they have a way to comment code in there, but you have to hover over to see what the code says underneath it. And I don't want to see that. And plus, there's no way for me to map out code. You have to actually write something to go in the screen for you to actually map out a level of code like this. I can sit there and say, hey, I want to loop through this is actually something I'm working on. I want to be able to loop through menu items, right? And then first get all the items in. I need to iterate all of these items and get these line items out. And I have to look and see if I have a customer in the database or not, because I'm going to be getting customers. I'm creating like landing pages. And from those landing pages, as I'm bringing in clientele, I want to verify against a database that I brought that client in, and then how much value we brought to the table. So now what I'm able to do is prove whether or not the marketing that I'm doing is actually successful, right? We end the bullish. So now that's transparency 1000% when you're dealing with clientele. I can say, hey, this is how I can work with you and blah, 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 blah. And then I can market people, right? If I can market me and I have a way to see my transparency, now I can create a business model that is scalable and then be able to repurpose that model across multiple people. And then now I have to think in scale. That's part of my talk today is like, are you thinking about your business in the same way? Are you thinking in scale? Have you thought out that process for yourselves? So I am creating an in-studio behind the scenes thing, but I'll get into that a bit later. But one of the things I want to talk about today is, as I begin getting ready to get this company up for marketing my product, right? So the being able to launch what I'm launching is also proof of concept, right? So how do I build a system that now can handle being able to nurture relationships? And that's basically what the whole entire entertainment industry is a nurture upon relationships. Like, who are the engineers? Who are the producers? Who are the graphic designers? Who are the video editors? Who are the, all of that stuff. How do you now do that? What we've lost with the way we used to have analog and the way that the record industry used to work was there was a lot more networking at a major studio and people coming in and out, in and out, and in and out. But now everybody has their own studio in their own home. And a lot of the work that they're doing is like you can just work online across the seas. I can send a beat to somebody. They can send me their finished work. I can bring that into my system add their layers and parts to it, do the mix and master on it, and then send that finished product out. And but we're not explaining to each other what we're actually doing or how we're actually making the material. Now, when people thought that the recording process was like this, spooky-ish, or you have to do all this weirdo crap to write a song, it's like, no, there's a systematic way to do this, and there's an easier process. I've been figuring it out for the last few years, and that's one of the things I'll be talking about anyway. So let's get into today's entire discussion. What I've also been talking about with businesses, how I've been trying to help businesses get ready. So give me a second. Let me close this down. So let's talk about this image right here. Right, this is the first. The reason why I chose this image is I looked at the word recession, and when I looked it up, this image popped out at me. And it's not the fact that I feel like the dollar's going to disappear as a usable commodity. And that's what I look at the dollar as. I think of it as a mineable commodity, because like if you look at your life and you look at how, if you think of yourself as an employee, then you're never in control of how you create assets. That's the one lesson I had to learn from Rich Dad Poor Dad, was that I had to get out of the employee mind and really start looking at the self-employed mind. And if I stayed in there, the self-employed mind is always looking for potentially a client, right? Always looking for a client. But at some point in time, you're going to want to become a business owner to be able to handle the business a little bit better, to get away from always having to give your time to somebody else as a employee / self-employed individual. But then when you become a business owner, you want your money to make money for you. So that's when you become an investor. So it's really, if you look at when we graduate, quote unquote, school, when we graduate that crap, it's really what your score is, what grades you got in school. But when you get out of school, your only grade is what your bank account holds, which isn't power. It's just the illusion of time that you get from it. With more of the digitized fiat, you can afford time, right? That's really all it does, is to afford you time. Like, you're not giving up your time to run in and out, driving back and forth to a place, or sitting in a meeting discussing how to make money for somebody else. And with where we're going in this crypto winter situation, we got to start looking at not just what we can create for our jobs, because if we think crypto is going to spike out of the blue, I'm going to show you what crypto winter looked like, because I have now changed the entire. Hold on. Damn. Of course it has an error. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure I didn't get logged out or have some weirdo-ish happen. Here we go. I now have this situated out as Crypto Winter 2018 to 2020. Right? So the charts here, if you look at the charts at where we are currently residing with our market, they're pretty much going to map out. I don't even need to pull them up at this point, because for me, it doesn't matter. What I'm mapping out for my year doesn't need me micromanaging the charts if this is what I'm expecting. When I tell y'all crypto winter play, like Bitcoin plays different, doesn't matter what we feel about it. Plus, we also have the macroeconomic crap to deal with. But we have to deal with facto, right? Facto is, this was the halvening cycle for the 2016 all the way to the beginning of 2018 timeline. You had another halving cycle that plays out here, and how it's playing out there. That was from 2020 to what we're currently going through. So January played out exactly like January of this year, just like almost for the most part, like I told you, it was gonna play out from June of last year, where I told you in videos, watch what it's gonna do here. The only difference was November, when I thought we were gonna do a super pump to the top to hit on a 100K target mark. There was no more money in the economy. The first the canary in the coal mine that there was a problem, which is why you started noticing my talk change into economic stuff. Like, I hate this economy type beats, because I started looking at the economy then. Because now there's not a problem, but now I used to short the market years ago because I saw so much crazy ish, but I was like, well, stocks that are supposed to go down aren't going down, and stocks that should go up aren't going up. Something else is happening. And I didn't understand the forums. I didn't understand these trading groups that were being created with Web 2.0. I didn't understand all the manipulation that was going on. But if there's enough cash flow, since the phrase was kicking the can down the road, every single time you turn around, they were kicking the can or keep lowering interest rates, keeping interest rates low. So I didn't understand any macroeconomic crap until over the last few months. Everything you've seen, the transition of where I'm talking and where I'm speaking from, is different because I'm looking at what I have to worry about with ToxicHustle. Like, okay, we're a media company. Why are we a media company? We put out media, audio and visuals, period. And then we put it on social marketing platforms, and we pay advertising. So if we're doing all of those things, then that is a media company makes. Facto. But we also have to look at what cycles, economic cycles, are we in? Why do I worry about that? I used to be in a virtual game. I used to play in a virtual game. I made money in Web 2.0. I made money in Web 1.0 with AOL. I made money on the back end doing graphics, creating things, and being able to get paid to be able to do the products I later did, which would be the other websites or web designs I did. And those will be things that, like, that's where PayPal came into a bit, right? Because PayPal was my exit strategy. I could swipe a card and I could eat. Well, now all these new platforms, you swipe a card and you can eat, but there's one differentiation. Bitcoin, this digital thing that we're spending on, is being treated as if it is a tradable asset, but a speculative tradable asset. So it will hold value, but it, as you see on the screen, it hit different. There are colors and patterns into where the seasons of Bitcoin play. And after a halvening cycle, it plays down, down, down. Now, this is your February, and right around here is a June dip. If you look here, May, you see May, it's going down. We're in April, right? April right now. Watch this. That's June. Let's go here. Here we go. So you got June. Here's May. First week of May. Right? We go to April. There's a big dip right here about let's see, this is March. This is March. This is the last week of March. And then you have a spike up here, and then May, right around the first week of May, you start to see a crack in the armor and it comes back down. Now, this is not going to play this exact same way. Why? Because we don't have as many people that are getting checks. See, what happened was checks would come in. People could file for their checks. They did. They stuck it back into Bitcoin, and the market pumps for a quick second, and it comes back down until the next cycle of checks right now, April. You see Bitcoin go down because people will take their earnings, because they have no extra cash, they'll sell off some of their assets to pay down on taxes. Just the way it plays. And now we got to go on to the rest of this year. And November, right here, you see a big fall off point. See it from here, it goes down here. So November timeline, the November dip is still around the mountain when she come. So I'm not focused on when you look at the stuff that we're doing. I can't focus on crypto. There's no hopium in here. I'm telling you that there's the investment cycle's done. That's what crypto winter is. There's revenue that went into the system. We've got cash flows, just like a venture capital. There's a cycle of venture capital. Bitcoin has its halving cycle, which gives you a cycle of venture capital because people got to buy new hardware to now get the next generation of stuff that's going to be mined over time. Then people can start cashing out again right at the next halving cycle when all the new hardware comes back out. It's a cycle of investment. So this is in itself what we're dealing with. Hold on one second. Let me just check. Yep, checking my audio levels. I don't want to take any chances anymore. All right, so since there's nothing here as far as new investment that's going to come in, especially when people who throw their money in keep getting, it's going to keep smacking to lower lows, and then November falls off a cliff. Then we have right after November another January dip. So it's going to be painful for folks. And then we have no real big news because, again, there's no new halving cycle. There's no new, hey, this new cycle of spark interest. No, it's going to be crypto winter. So from this point on, you're going to be looking to consistently watch not only what's going on in your economy, but you're going to have to look at how you're going to earn, which will also deal with how do you get whatever jobs you need. Like sometimes you need quick, I guess, wins, right? So we're going to work through that. First things first, let's deal with the new government information that's come out, and that's the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. Everybody in the industry calls it the CPI. Right now, they're talking about it's 8.5% is the new annualized whatever crap that they're rolling out. Real talk. You've gone to the supermarket. I can tell you from dealing with people in the food industry that when you've got meat up 40% or some ground whatever up 30 something percent month after month after month, you can't say that inflation rate's only 8%. When you have rent, when people's rent are like a person sitting there like $1,800, like $1,900 for rent? Really? For a small and then like $1 million New York residential apartment, like nutso, right? So we've got to look at this crap and see that the fact that they say that the inflation rate's this low doesn't matter. It's higher than it was. They're 7 point this and they're 7 point that, and the fact is we've got shadow stats giving us, look at this. We're well above 17, 18%. Like there's 20%. We're like 15, 16, 17% right there. Ridiculous, right? So these inflation numbers that they've got pumped out here on these streets are straight fugazi, SM Zeus. Well, actually reverse, because they're pulling down the numbers so that they can raise interest rates, so they can say that the economy is okay. But I can tell you right now, I'm a guy that programs automation for a living and has been doing that for years. I've been doing that for customers for years. I've offloaded 8 to 10 hours of workload and gotten it and been able, and that be daily for like a week. Like we have like maybe 80 hours that would have to be to do like data entry processing. And then I write a robot in a day that processes that entire data in 20 minutes. No manpower necessary. And right now, there's a rising inflation costs that are being trickled into every industry. And as they had to, as their costs are blowing up, as they like what they cost to what it costs them to manufacture products, because they're still manufacturing physical or if they're still their costs go into their product, what's going to happen to the end product to then package that and send it out? And then the shipping costs, the fuel costs, all of these costs that are now added on top of that. How much more can people pay? Right? Okay, and then is your job keeping up with it? That was the hardest thing for me to deal with in New York. Was I was working at Canon, like the camera company, and I can't keep up with the cost of trying to get to work. Like I could not afford to live there to even work at a major company. Like how crazy is that? Like I'm working with the director of marketing and I can't even afford to go to work. And that's back in 2013. Like think back, like 2013 type costs to now. That's nuts, so yo. And even back then, I was driving back and forth to work with a friend, paying gas, and I at one time had 7 people that I could get to work with, and then over time, that shrunk down because everybody just started leaving, like leaving the state, going to entirely different companies like Facebook and like just dipping. And I was watching this exodus, and I was also watching the hustle the HR people were doing. And this is why I'm telling you, if you have skill sets in digital, if you have your digital skill sets, you put them on your damn resume. Learn Photoshop. Take a fucking night and learn Photoshop. Put that on your resume. You can get something. Get a portfolio up. Like, for real. I am watching more and more companies pivot to automation. When I walk into, like, let me explain something to you. I walk into a business just like this. Hey, do you have like stuff in your company that needs to, that is like repetitive over and over, and you wish you could automate it away from yourself? And they'd be like, yeah. And I said, well, I can automate your desktop and a cloud system for you to be able to do all of that work and gather all of your data and pull it into a repository for you to do analytics on it. Who do you think is getting the job, y'all? Like, I talk more than music on this channel because we are producers, but at the same time, music makes money to a point. This is a music business. And at the end product, the music has to be utilitized. I know it hurts as a freaking as a creative. I hate the business side of it. I hate the music business. Hate it. That's why I'm automating half this shit away, because half of this don't need people. You just have to have good content and be able to broadcast and have a good message and then have something of value to add to the equation. My added value is I talk about business. I talk about how I save money. I talk about how I take that money and I put it into trading robots. I talk about my ish. I talk my ish because I'm showing you a process, a repeatable, whichever European, non-European syllable you want to use. I'm showing you a repeatable process because everything is systemic now. You log into something. If you can log into it, it's systemic. If you have an email address, it's systemic. The replies back and forth is systemic. There's no outside variance. It's communication back and forth between two system machines. So everything is automatable. Correspondence to email, sending a text message, being able to talk in different chat rooms or chat systems, hooking into Discord. Like I'm getting ready to start. I've been created a ToxicHustle room, but I don't invite nobody there because that's just like my playground of destruction, of how I want to control an entire Discord room. How do I have a system that posts to it? How do I monitor for spam? How do you have community management? Same thing I'm doing with YouTube. Like, how do I gather the YouTube data? How do you monitor the comments? And if you see the same link, get that ish out of here if I say it's spam already. I don't want to see it anymore. These bozos and their robots aren't that smart. I just have to make mine 20% smarter. Everything has an API. So now I can monitor stuff. Now, what if I make it systemic? And now what if I charge subscriptions? Now, if I create a landing page and say, hey, corporate services, here you go. I can monitor your social media projects or corporations for you so that you can do some social monitoring so you can be better stewards to your customers. Because if you're not taking care of your customers, your ass is done. You've got to stop treating them like objects, and you're going to have to start treating all social media as no different than every other service, social service, communication portal, like a way for you to handle your services department and your customer support. No, they may not come to your website, but yes, you can centralize the response. Right? This is what I mean by automation. And take it from me. I'm going to tell you a story of me working with a social media wealth manager who was making millions upon millions of dollars selling wealth management products. I ain't doing all that. Like the stuff I'm going to show y'all, I'm showing you how to make money on your own. Like I'm showing you how to fish your shelf. When you realize that this game that they're playing is about done, like technology continues to step down and go down and go down, levels upon levels, as more and more people create more efficiencies for how things can be made digitally, or at least traversed digitally. The dissemination of information is this entire age that's been created, the communication age, and just different forms of how we communicate now. The speed at which you communicate. I should not be able to put a microphone in front of my face and stream. That's radio. You don't see me. You see a screen and me showing you the consumer prices rose 8.5%. We have to understand financially where we are, because as business owners, all of you are self-employed. If not, that means you're holding on. You're holding, like, no other way to say it. You're sucking on the teeth, right? You're holding on to the nipple. And right now, that's how all of us are acting. There is no Santa Claus, as MG loves to say. Like people out here with Santa Claus dreams. Ho, 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 somebody's going to give me some money. And that's, give me some money. Like everybody Oliver Twist out here with their hands out. But if the pockets are done, like if you know they're talking about there's no Social Security, like I can sit there and say my Gen X ass ain't getting no Social Security. And the Ponzi scheme, y'all want to talk about Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme? Let me show you a Ponzi scheme. It is called Social Security. You get money from the young people as inflation and the cost of living goes up. But by the time they get older, you have to get money from the young people. But if there's no jobs to keep going in there, then you can't pay the system to keep paying those people that are cashing checks until the money run out. Ain't that the definition of a Ponzi scheme? As MG says, stop being cute and clamorous. But we've been known that. Wasn't a burger like 99 fucking cents at one point in time? Now what's a burger? A whole meal you could get for like $1 and something is now $5 and change. In my generation. In real life. Yo, this is crazy. So your ability to earn has to step up now, especially as your analog is being decimated. Not just yours, mine too, but I'm doing something about it. I am making a conscious decision to be able to start learning how to automate everything. I show y'all the links all the time. And while nobody wants to talk about this, everybody's talking about the recession, like it's around the corner. Let me explain something. This is what the definition of a recession is. A recession is a macroeconomic term that refers to a significant decline in general economic activity in a designated region. It had been typically recognized as 2 consecutive quarters of economic decline, as reflected by GDP, in conjunction with monthly indicators such as rise in unemployment. Okay, let me break this down, because I'm not going to deal with all the what it did it. Y'all, they said all we need is 2 quarters of some effed up ish. Where if we look at everything going on, if you look at every economic thing going down, you should, if you see 2 quarters of bullish, you got problems. I'll just use the stock market. Started crashing right around September. October, November, December. In that quarter, did we see a downturn in ish? Oh, yeah, we did. Inflation had already spiked. We already saw numbers. Inflation, I've been talking about it all summer, but it didn't exist. No, that doesn't exist. No, it did. Right? And then we have January, February, March. Okay, we just finished March. That's the second quarter. Boom, that's 2. We're in full-blown recession. That's just done. Done. We should be done now. We should be straight. We in April and we're still heading down. Dig it down, down. Right? What is a depression? An economic depression is a period of sustained long-term downturn in economic activity. Okay, so now we're going to see economic activity going down. Automation, Flippy the robot. More and more robots are taking over front of house, back of house. Remember all that stuff I showed you in the summertime? Okay. All right. So we're still going to. We did the first quarter. We did the last quarter, fourth of last year, right? Fourth quarter, 2021. First quarter, we just finished of 2022. That's 2 quarters. So now we need 2 more. We'll just add 2 more, right? So then that would be January, February, March, right? So March. So we got April, May, June. So that'll be number 1. July, August, September will be number 2. So right around that September, October, like we crashed last time, we should be in depressionary-ish then. Because if you go back in time and you look at the videos in 2007, 2008, we weren't in a recession. We had, it looks like it's a recession, but then when we get in the past, then when we get past it and things start to go up, now all of a sudden, let's go back and look at it and say it's a recession. It was a recession. Yes, it was. Once we're past it and we're better now, yes, it was a recession. But at the time, no, just like Jim Cramer telling everybody, do not sell their Bear Stearns, don't be stupid. Right before the great financial collapse. So, okay. Meanwhile, between time, there's going to be, as the interest rates continue to get jacked up and that debt is on these companies, this debt is going to be too much for them to hold. Look at our bank accounts, pre-pandemic levels. Yes, some people are getting more revenue to drive, but there is already a shortage. So yeah, I can give one person 100,000 if I needed 10 of him. Sounds good on paper. But the fact is that soon that ain't gonna matter because there'll be truck drivers or there'll be trucks that drive themselves. Hell, what if you have a cargo container just drive itself? Like one cargo container, just get it on a road and let it roll itself and deliver itself. Like we're going into that in the next 5 years. So do you not think that you're going to have less and less physical people as the structure or infrastructure, the organization begins to digitize? Because you can't grow a business to do all the physical expenses with all of your costs and labor costs up if you're like a big head baby and you're too heavy with executives. So once you get your executive office lean and mean, and you can get your manufacturing lean and mean, which would be like companies that are 3D printing their own stuff and only need the core base minerals and materials to get it done. And they print and manufacture their own stuff end to end. Even me as a company, if we want to create goods, we're going with 3D printing and printing at scale, print on demand. Automating our business, automating how we create goods. That way that company can handle manufacturing and keeping their costs and keeping their things in order, and we can still offer value for goods and that we create that can potentially either be sold directly to consumer as some type of product, and or in the future we figured out how to flip things through cryptocurrencies and flip things through how we earn in the microverses, that we can sit there and say, hey, if you hold a token, we'll print you a shirt. Because hey, we made some money, here's some extra cash flow, and since everything's kind of like we can create some type of percentage rate that can just get kicked out automatically, we don't have to think about the ish. Hey, this earns a shirt, okay, boom, kick a shirt out to them, here's the money that can now go get to pay that. See, we have to change how we think about businesses and say, how do we handle them if everything is automatable? You have to think for your own business. Like you are a business now. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. The employment thing, the game they had as far as go get an education Ponzi scheme, that's crazy. Think about it. And I was talking to a friend who's in the business world yesterday. And I was like, yo, think about it. Every year, 3 graduating classes come on the market. Over the last 3 that couldn't find jobs, over the last 3 that couldn't find jobs, over the last 3 that couldn't find jobs. And you rack up so much debt. And the saddest crap is, y'all, I punted school because I sucked. I punted that crap. I was like, yo, I can't do this crap. I went to the military to try to figure it out. Came out, and the only thing I could do is security guard or be a police officer. After, when you get out of the army, you can, or get out the Marines or the military, you will have all these job skills. No, that's all I had. It's like, oh no, when you come out, you got 2 things: security guard or police officer. So I became a security guard, and from there, I picked up a book on how to build a computer because I figured out the parts were something you could just piece together. And now you can build a laptop. You can build there's a company that you can build your own. It won't be like a gaming beast, but you can build it like it's a serviceable laptop. I'll put it in the Discord. But I am watching auto. I use my skill set and was able to always outpace anybody to get a job only because I had the little automation pack, that little skill set behind me. I could crank out work faster than other people because I wasn't always thinking about how do I physically do everything. It's why I got my Canon job, which we're going to get into, right? So I want to first help, and that's first, you got to be able to think about your since you're a business, right? And you have your own money to deal with. The first thing I figured out with my pocket was I needed to manage it in some form or fashion. First thing I did, and there's probably better software, I'm just letting you know my story. The first thing I did was I got a program like this called Mint. And with this program, what I did was I itemized everything I was spending on. So when I went to the store and I swiped my card, I had all that information in there. And now what I could do is I could track all of my spending. Now, it's probably better to use another service other than Mint now because, they work for the government. They're pretty much, but they're going to know everything anyway. I don't really give a damn because they do TurboTax and I'm able to get my business taxes done. So I don't really give a damn. At this point, I look at the United States government as, hey, it's a necessary way for me to do business, right? How do I pay taxes, right? How do I keep a roof over my head for my family? So the ports of exit for me are who has the biggest lobbies? Oh, PayPal and the TurboTax people. Okay, so let me get my taxes done with their crap fast. Now, with this software, the first thing I learned was if now every time I went to the supermarket, I had all my grocery stuff, I could see what I was spending on groceries and I could start getting better with how I spent. Also, my fast food habits, I was able to see that. If I was spending on gas, being able to see how I spent changed how I spent. It helped me tighten my pockets. And I can tell you right now, I found hundreds of dollars flowing out of my pocket just for how I was spending, getting cups of coffee, the latte factor. If you take how many cups of coffee you get, if you go to a Starbucks or whatever, take whatever that price is, multiply it by the amount of times you get it per week, times how many times you get it per month, just in total. Then multiply that times 12. That's how much you're spending a year on it. Now, is there a cheaper way for you to do that? If you can then take that revenue that you just saved, you can now put that into education. You can put that into software that can leverage for your business. You can put that into having a subscription that can get you a skill set that you can put on your resume to get you a better job. Right? That's the shortest hack you can do is your time. Everybody wants to go back to the offices, but we're not going to. It never made sense in 2013, and it don't make sense now. There should be no reason for a business owner to pay for 3 buildings. For those of you that don't know, here's how it plays out. And this was me having a friendly conversation with my friend Vikram. Well, shout out to my boy Vic. Right? And we used to talk about this all the time, going back and forth to Canon. And I was like, yo, this is so dumb. They have this new campus all the way in Long Island. And now I gotta drive with you all the way there. If I want to do that, I gotta buy a car. If you leave, I gotta buy a car. Oh, we're gonna get into that, immersive. I gotta drive a car back and forth. So now think about it. As a business owner, you now own the building that you gotta go to work at, right? Now, as a business owner, you don't live in your building, so you have a piece of property you have to maintain. And then the person who now works for you has to drive to that building. And they have a house, right? And that they have to live at. So you now pay for 3 buildings. Then you have insurance and gas, and because people got, so you have to have a living salary to not even pay the rent, but you got to pay for the gas, and you got to pay for the water, and you got all that other stuff. And the same thing you got to do in your own building, and the same thing you got to do in your house. So you're paying 3 times to have one business work. Dumb. That's a waste of capitalization when you're commuting to a computer, to an internet. Like, are you serious? Now, being as Immersive brings up in the chat, Immersive brings up being an entrepreneur. Yeah, it's the number one way to win is being an entrepreneur, right? It falls into the self-employed / business owner quadrants, because you're self-employed, being able to look for clientele for yourself, and being a business owner, you're able to run the business so that you don't burn yourself out, hopefully. Not all the time. I'm trying to get my girl to work on that. Like, most of the companies I'm talking to now, when I tell them what I'm doing, everybody lights up. Let me know when you get that automation thing going. I'm like, it's already going. Oh, you're using it now? Yes. I've been using it for years. I'm now just, the technology just now brings it to the cloud. Here, this is the software. I use this software and this software. I use Xano and N8N.io. I created basically my own Zapier. So now this way I can distribute my content, which is data, which I told y'all back in summer, data's the new oil. I live by the ish I tell y'all. Like, literally, I sit there and say, yo, I told y'all last summer, yo, data's the new oil. And it's how you collect your data. How do I know that? Look at Nielsen rankings. Don't you have a billboard? Everybody gives a damn what they talk about. Okay, well, collect the damn data. Spotify has an API. YouTube has APIs. Collect your data. Start broadcasting your ish. You don't think that's what ToxicHustle is about to do? I'm telling you exactly how I'm going to be a media company because you're exactly like me. Do you create audio? Yes. Do you look on TV and every commercial is silent? No. Every commercial uses your music. Now, can you now go into After Effects and whatever, or clip some stuff together and create your own videos? You've been doing your beat videos. Do you know what you've done? No. I want y'all to listen to me. Because this is what I mean by utilizing your skill sets. You don't give yourself the credit. You don't give yourself your credit. I take my skill set and I put it on my resume, on my bio. I know After Effects. I know video editing. I know how to do audio and scenes and cutting. You look at people's resume on how they do editing and put it into yours. And then post it on Indeed. And then somebody's going to contact you. And that's how I got the job for to be a part of a wealth manager who happened to be a social media influencer, getting millions of views per month. But when you see these people, y'all, it doesn't matter when I talk to corporations, Fortune 5, like when I worked at First Data, all these corporations, and I'll show you how I got into those places. It's not that hard. Really easy. And like I said, I didn't graduate college, y'all. I didn't go to college. I could barely get out of high school. I don't have the attention span for it. So I got to have notes and shit of how we talk. Right now, we're going into recession, which means pockets are empty. I learned that in Second Life. I learned what happens in Second Life. There is no money when when they have to make a decision on eating or having broadband internet. That's a no-brainer. They're not going to buy no damn digital clothes when they've got to wear real ones. When their holes are in their shoes and they got to buy stuff to go to their real jobs. That's what I learned with Second Life. That's why this whole, I like Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. I think that's going to be some stabilized digital way to do some interaction. So is PayPal. So will Venmo, so will Cash App. They're all ports for you to be able to swipe a card. Hell, even Robinhood has a debit card. And if you're good at what you do, cool. I just don't trust the market right now. What about, okay, I can show you like this. Because I have an actual, what Immersive is asking in the chat room is, what about the HR person? What about them? Okay, I'm gonna show you how it works. I'm not lying. What I did is I created a business and I took my stuff and I put it on that site. That site at the time was not only a site that helped me get other clients, but so again, the website had a form, clients filled the form, paid me money to be able to do web design, web development for them. And then I would market on social media to get those clients. And now I have a portfolio. Now I have a portfolio of all of my stuff. So now when I go to do a job, what I do is I put the link to the company that's on the web earning money as a business that I'm writing off in taxes. And that can be you can be self-employed and use your own social security number as a business until you get enough money to be able to take it and get a corporation and separate it, so that way you can get an LLC, and that way you can begin to create bank accounts and have an entity that creates itself. But between time, I'll create a business on my own name and just file taxes on it because I'm writing off things in my house. Now that company goes on my resume for all of the services I do for it, because did I not create a website for it? Did I not begin to market for it? Did I not do this and this to market it? Do I not have serviceable skills? Yes, I know how to use Google Analytics. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. You add all those skills together, it's still a job set. And when you look at what the jobs resumes, the HR people do, I just look at the resumes that are on Indeed and say, okay, this is what they're asking for. I do that. I repurpose that in my resume, and that becomes part of my service skill. So I'm taking what the HR department is asking for. I translate my skill set to fit that skill with not a lie. It's the truth. Did I not install WordPress on a server on Amazon Web Services? Did I not set up the infrastructure for it? Did I not put the HTTPS? Yes, I did all of that. So I know how to set up a domain from all the way up. I know how to add the analytics code. I know how to create redirect links. I know how to SEO it. I know how to do all of it. Now, as far as intellectual property, bro, if we are the creators, I am creating my own IP. And then even if I'm using their content, so let's just say I'm creating videos and I'm creating videos. All right, perfect example. Here's how I do it in a physical sense. Rather than, let's not have a conversation of what could do. This is what I do. So I'm telling you how I do it. And nobody has a problem with it. What you do is, let's say I find a person that renders 3D for architectural firms, right? He doesn't make beats. And he'll have to go buy beats or whatever, right? So let's say I befriend that person and say, I make a video for them and say, hey, I made you a show reel of your stuff and I just added my link. Do you mind if you just put a link pointing back to me, right? I then take my show reel with my music, post it on ToxicHustle, post a link back to that person, giving them the credits for all that I did. Bang. Then you have what? You have a right to use it. Done deal. Now you can also use that as a part of your portfolio gallery, and boom. What do you mean CLA Woo example? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Immersive. I'm not sure what CLA Woo means. Like, I'm just like, for me, it's practicality. What do you need as a business? If you take it as when you go to google.com, you log into google.com, you look at somebody who's a marketer, right? If you say somebody that's a web developer, right? You got a web designer. So you got a web designing page. Your web designing page, you have your serviceable skills on that. But let's just say you're not just a web designer, but you know how to do After Effects and Premiere, and you know how to do video. Well, you have video skills, you have video editing skills. You can piece all of these things together, create this content that can be part of your portfolio or show reel. And then you as an individual who's created all of this entity, you created a business. Like, you made a domain, you made the website, you created a business that's generating income. You can put it as a serviceable skill. And I've gotten jobs like, look, I got jobs at Canon, I got jobs at Citibank, I got jobs at First Data. Like, when I say First Data, look, when I tell you what I'm doing is what I've been doing, boom, this is First Data. First Data the First Data Corporation is a financial services company headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. The company's Star Network provides a nationwide domestic debit assistance, more than 2 million retail point of sale systems, ATMs, and online outlets, i.e., Walmart type beats. So, like, what I did was take all the skills I do for myself, my friends, like creating websites, but then doing it for businesses, finding companies. Like, I would find a company, a barbecue place or whatever, and do work for it. Right. And then what I do is take my serviceable skill and then put it in Indeed, let these companies see what I have, and then boom, I get jobs. Just how it is. So my 24 hours, when we look at what everybody has, we all have the same exact 24 hours a day. I use job. Hopefully now I'm seeing more and more remote start to become the mainstream play. And that's going to be a smart endeavor for these companies. And that's going to give you even more time, because they're not going to pay you more. There's going to be companies that are going to be like, I like you to work from home. Here's the piece you're going to get. And one of my homeboys, my boy Johnny, used to work, and he would work as a support person, and he was doing remote support. And this is before pandemic. And he would get multiple laptops to work for multiple companies from home. And now he's getting paid for like 2 to 3 companies. Right? We're getting into this freelance or gig economy. That's what's coming down the mountain when it comes. And what's a gig economy? The gig economy is a free market system in which temporary positions are common. So everybody's going to be a temp. And organizations hire independent workers for short-time commitments, temp workers. If you go to Indeed, I still get a crap load of HR people or recruiters looking to try to make money. Like, this entire business of jobs is dog eat dog. Like, they don't care. It's not like what everybody thinks it is. There is a recruiter that hunts and looks for talent. They just blind mail with robots everybody, especially if you're on Indeed. If you reply, then because you look at the description and you kind of think you fit it, you click a link, you go in and fill out, and you click the link, you respond back to them, and boom, they're going to get a commission to try to get you in this place. They're going to send your resume over. You have to fill in a non-disclosure to them, and boom, they send that off to the client that they want to get their commission for. And they get a commission for keeping you long term. So they're trying to keep you there at least 3 to 6 months so that they can catch that commission on you. Right? That's the hustle. So then if the job likes you, boom, they'll hire you. So they'll buy out your contract from that. So either it's like, let's say you get a 3-month contract, a 90, like you get a 90 or a 3-month or 6-month contract. So now I got a 3-month contract or a 6-month contract. And then either they're going to hire me or even a year contract. And that might mean I'll get the job. And that's happened to me twice, where I'll get a contract job and then they'll just buy out my contract. That happened at Citigroup Private Bank, and that happened at Canon USA. So these are physical things that I've used to get a job through when they thought there was a recession going on. Not to say that my strategy is recession proof. What I'm saying is it works when there's a condition of labor is transitioning and you need to pivot kind of fast. Your biggest thing is how do you create some type of revenue stream? Like, again, gig economy. How did I do it? I was doing MySpace layouts. I was creating them at $25 a pop. I was getting paid to PayPal. I could swipe my debit card and go eat. Short distance between two lines. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. The biggest thing was I worked with, like I said, a wealth manager who was a social media person. And the thing that I saw was the inefficiencies of how he was doing his social media. And I was trying to talk to him to try to get him to do this business that I'm working on. Like, I figured, hey, I'm gonna share a bit of information. I didn't want to make sure I didn't tell too much, but I was making sure I told him, I was like, look, I got an idea, and I'll take this job, but I'm not here to be your employee. I'm here as a business owner, and I can give you some insights to some stuff. And if y'all have heard my other videos, y'all know who I'm talking about. Straight up told them about this business idea that I'm rolling out, y'all. That we've been talking about for the last few weeks as I've been rolling out the system. I've been building the back end as I'm getting the automation to go. This is all the stuff I was telling him that this is what you'll need to do to be able to compete with people like me in the future. Didn't want to listen. So it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter when they think your job thinks that they're smarter than you. When you help them make the money. It doesn't matter what corporation I went to, and it doesn't matter if they are a black businessman that you can speak directly to the CEO directly every single day, and they can hear you but not hear you because their ego is better than you. They know more than you because they make more money than you. You make more money right now because you're living off of an old stratagem. And I was trying to tell him, like, yo, this is where it's going to pivot. This is before any Rona-ish was popping off. I was warning him, yo, this is how it's going to go. I don't care. I'm a Sag. I'll tell him up straight because I'm not loose with it. Like, look, if I'm going to eat with you over the long term and I see you're fundamentally making a business decision that will make no sense to me, that makes me question whether or not you can navigate these turbulent waters. So when he was making decisions based off of what he thought, and I was making decisions having dated an epidemiologist who was doing infectious diagrams of how things spread, and that's how she got into Harvard, and she hustled and got out of Harvard with no money down type beats. I'm going to listen to that type of individual, and I knew this was going to last longer than a year. And I began to focus on how my business was going to transition because I figured, everything I've been saying for years is about to pop the hell off. That automation is going to destroy the home office. Like, all of these white collar jobs are not going to be necessary. Why do you need an HR person with Monday.com? Why do you need a whole HR department with Monday.com? With any type of database where you can create a project management system. You don't even need a project manager no more. So the only thing that we have that Immersive was talking about is energy management. Yes, energy management, but that's mostly time management because your time, you can have energy sitting watching TV. You can have an energy for that, but not have energy. So like when I used to go to work, I get up at 6 something in the morning to get ready to go to work. I'm getting back around, 5 something, 6 something in the evening. I've lost 12 hours of my day. I go grab something to eat real fast, make me something real fast, and sit down at my computer. So by 7 o'clock, I've got 7, 8, I got 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 4 hours. So I can be asleep at midnight to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning again. And in those 4 hours, I can do my work. I can get my clients' work done, especially if I can design something or work on something for an hour every night or 2 hours every night. or study for like I could work on something for 2 hours and I could study for 2 hours for something that I needed to do for my job. I even worked on robots for my job in my off hours so that I could reduce the amount of time I was doing miscellaneous bullshit at work. But how many people are willing to do that? Not many. I developed a piece of software for Canon that generated them well over $2 million. Could I get a raise? No. I told a $1 million social media personality about a business idea on how to take data and create a SaaS, system as a service offering, so you could get subscriptions to earn monthly and actually give people something that can help them grow their businesses. And nah, nobody wants to hear it. Then I did it on my own almost a year and a half later. Nobody's going to care about your idea. I can sit there and I've been telling y'all everything I'm doing. It does not matter. None of that crap matters. Copyrights don't matter if you don't do nothing. My dad did not put any copyrights out, did not save him from getting his stuff stolen, and they got utility out of him for his own material. It broke that man. He became an alcoholic because of it, because he wasn't concentrating on the business. He had hopium. That somebody's going to look at his talent. That man could play by ear and hear every single note. That's a C sharp D. That he could do all of that. Did not matter. None of that crap mattered. Didn't take his job seriously, so we didn't put time there when he was in the Navy. And then his off time, rather than studying to be able to get the higher things he could, he sat there and drank and dreamed and had hopium. That his music, because his talent, somebody would see his talent. Nigga, nobody sees your talent. Your talent don't matter. Look at all the talentless people that matter. But your music goes everywhere. But we don't respect it enough to utilize it ourselves. We didn't have the idea to do so. Well, now I don't want to hear a mother effing excuse. You got CD Baby. If you're spending on and no shots to DK, the other company, I'm not going to say their name, that have the unlimited plays, but you got to pay for your YouTube streams. For every damn song. That's waste of money. When I got a place over here that I pay one damn time and all of my royalties, even TikTok, came to me free. Free. Suck my ish from the back. I can go to CD Baby, just upload it, be done. Now you get your royalties. So now what's your excuse now then? You're now a published artist. You're now getting royalties. So all that mysticism shit's over with. You're getting your royalties now. Now what? What are you doing with it? You have catalog. What the hell are you doing with it now? You're just like every effing label now. Then you got to put pictures to that ish. You better figure out what it is. Are you going to do all the work for all the video, all your stuff yourself? No, you better figure out how to utilize other people's work. And that's when you become a media company. Start broadcasting. Help other people get their information out. Utilize your music as the soundtrack to life. Get your royalties, little duffel bag boy. And I don't want to hear shit, because there's your end all be all. You get paid your royalties straight to your checking account or PayPal. Swipe and eat, my nigga. I do practicality. I don't have an opinion on this. This is how I survived when everybody, I don't know what that 2008 recession shit was. I was hungry. I was losing money in Second Life. I didn't know we were in a recession. I just know people ain't had no spending money. And I had to get back to services. It was this, everybody's on this Facebook thing. Okay, these group thing. Okay, I'm going to design the graphics for these groups that are coming out for businesses. Using Photoshop to get money. Design, graphics. You got to be productive. Do you know what makes money? Productivity. Do you know what America lost through this whole thing? In every country, not just America. Because when you sat on your ass and you got a check, there's no productivity. And when you got off your ass, you didn't have a job anymore, really, or the job doesn't pay you as much. And if it does pay you, you're doing something completely different because you didn't get that job back at the same rate. Money ain't playing the same. The cost of things will keep going and up, but there's going to be a point where it can't go up no more. And then as those things start to break, you're going to watch and see these companies begin to have their earnings screwed. Everybody has the same effing 24 hours a day. Everybody. I have the same hours as you. Do you know what I've been doing? I tell my girl, like she was frustrated with me because it looks like I don't move, y'all. I'll make money, but it looks like I don't move. Half the time I'm studying, trying to figure out not how to invest money. No. I'm sitting there going, hey, I know that everything's going to be automated. How am I going to be able to interact with all these other systems in a way that I can be able to integrate it into whatever I'm doing? And then how do I integrate that into something else? Like, I have to figure that out. There's nobody that's creating my lane. I have to think as a media company for myself, for my endeavors. And then I have to build a business that can kind of morph into that. And what you're seeing and what I'm giving y'all is that. I'm sitting there telling you, hey, I'm looking at this program called Notation, where I can sit there and build databases that interact with databases that interact with databases. And it works with my robot system called N8N.io. And that works with my robot system that's a database called Xano. And I interact all with that together in this thing called an API. And that API can talk to another API that does a machine learning called Open API, and I can do all this other data testing and regressions if I give it the right data sets and take the values of that and stick it back into the database. So if I needed to write stuff, the AI will write it on its own and give me a summary. In real life. And then that skill set, if I want to get a job, I take all that skill set, AWS, the fact that I'm interacting with APIs, what API companies I've been interacting with, having a list of that, being able to tell them how I'm utilizing robotic process automation. See, when you understand what the technology is, you know what you can call it. See, it's called robotic process automation, and that is a serviceable skill that's at the cusp of this Internet of Things we're about to hit. When I tell you what I'm talking from, y'all, is from experience because I write robots for a living. These bots are web bots. They can be scraping bots. Microsoft has one called Power Automate. Boom. This right here. Process flow automation. Streamlines repetitive tasks. This is you can control Windows PCs. Windows is getting on Raspberry Pis, y'all. Raspberry Pis by next year will be 16 gigabytes of RAM, y'all. 16 gigabytes of RAM are business grade PCs. Business grade. which means Raspberry Pis in the future holding something like this can automate entire desktops on their own. That means opening up a web page, typing into a form field, hitting submit. Not to mention all the APIs that you can get and interact with everything on the web from the back end. And then when you partner all of that out with what I consider the WordPress of automation, and I ain't afraid to share, I want you to know I'm a whoop ass. I've already built this in the cloud. This gives you your own Zapier right now. Right now. Hold on. What's Zapier? Let me show you. Zapier. I'm going to show you how I save you. I'm going to show you how to do this, son. I'm going to show you something. Let's go to pricing. Let's go here. Okay. This tells you get unlimited zaps, but you really don't get unlimited zaps. You get unlimited zaps, right? You get 50,000 tasks a month. So tasks are the individual things that are happening within the workflow. It's not one workflow. It's the minor things that are happening on the step of the way. So 50,000 is costing you $299. What you get with this is, and this is what I was doing when I was working with that social media person, because this is what they were using, and I had already saw this, and they were like, well, this is what we use. And I said, well, that's going to get really expensive. I'm actually looking for something better than that. But I'll work with it for now, but I have an idea of how I was going to, how to beat it. Hold on. There we go. Right? So Zapier. So you got this plan. And what does Zapier do for those that you don't know? For those of you who don't know, I'm going to look for their, they don't show you the, what connects, Zapier. Hold on. Here we go. There. So what you can do is, and I'll just go to the top 100 apps. You can connect to things like Slack, to Google Sheets, to MailChimp. You can connect these things together, right? All these things together so that you can have processes happening outside of your website. So if you need to send an email, instead of having, for me, WordPress do all of this ish, and WordPress is slow and heavy, I wanted to find a smarter way to be able to offload a lot of what we consider websites. What does Google want? Your website to be fast. What does WordPress do? Basically run and slam you cache the page, right? So you make a static page. So you're basically using this whole big content management system to just render static pages anyway. And then you still can't use it as an application because an application needs real-time transactions and most of your site needs to be static. So now what you're running into is a bottleneck for how your website works. What I've been doing is how to separate the key and the lock. How do I separate the back end from the front end? And then most of the logic that's necessary to be able to do things and to send information, run my content management system, send an update to my project management system that I use. I can do it all from one place. Now, again, here's N8N. I just showed you what this costs. This costs absolutely nothing. I downloaded it. I put it on a server. The server cost me $40, but I have basically a Raspberry Pi in the cloud. And immersive, it's not just ARM processing. Let's not forget RISC CPUs are about to decimate every other chip out there because they're printing RISC chips here. These computers are going to start printing RISC chips because they're open source. So that's going to bypass. And that's also why Intel and ARM are, ARM is a RISC chip. So as risk 5 becomes more and more prevalent, those chips are going to take over all of these markets. So I'm just waiting because these things are going to happen in time. My concentration is, okay, so we know that there's going to be more processing, more computers. What do we do with that? How do you create economies with that? How do you run a business knowing that more hardware is coming, more data processing is coming? Do you have ways to piggyback off of these systems of things making money? Like, we know the Internet of Things is coming. We know their 2023 endeavor, or 2023 endeavors, or 2024, whatever. That we know their 2030 initiatives of having like this whole digital crap. What does that mean? Everybody, this Green New Deal says everybody wants to do electric vehicles. All right, that means everything is going all the way up that goes into a battery. Everything is going all the way up. And it ain't gonna be about gold and silver going swipey at, like, you carrying gold in your pockets when people are busting you in your head for your watch? How are you using that when you don't even want to go to the bank and request money in a verbal way anymore? When you've got to sit there and go to a bank and you've got to say, hey, if I want $10,000, I got to ask early. You got to request that ish up front. So if you already have to do all of that to get your current fiat structure, then we need to figure out how to utilize these things to earn our own, be our own bank. Chipset, ow. Chipset. I mean, the cult of chipset, like Dipset, for real. Like, what we're gonna have is so much, like, y'all, hold on, I want to show you something. And what is it called? I want to show you something. This is crazy. Framework. I'm gonna be marketing these people soon. Laptop. Okay. This company right here, they have a do-it-yourself edition. Now, I told y'all I built computers. Now, you don't have to put much in here. Like, and it's cool that they use a brother's hands. But you basically put in your memory chips. You put in this little Wi-Fi device. You put in this is the right here. That's your storage, and right here is your memory 1 and your memory 2. So you just put these things in. This is no different than how I was kind of building things back in the day. Everything kind of is like Lego. So I built this laptop, and it is powerful, and it's going to be running some of my stuff on the back end to be able to do some of my service work and to be able to do some of my scrape work, right? So that it can scrape a website, run analysis on it, be able to run some, like send some information to Google AI, Open AI, excuse me, which is run by Microsoft now. But now you're seeing these laptops that you can now not buy a new laptop. I can sub out another motherboard. I can sub out these pieces, and I can now upgrade. Your laptop is becoming upgradable. Now it's not ready for prime time, but I'm still testing it out. That's why it's working in the office now as a media center / I'm actually getting ready to put it through some Photoshop paces because there's no GPU. I mean, there's no powerful GPU, but it's got an i7 and I've got like 64 gigabytes of RAM in it. Like 64 gigs of ramage. So I want to put it through a little bit of its paces on just being a business grade computer for me. Like high-end business grade. I won't be able to do like really high impact videos, but most of my videos I'm getting ready to do mostly are going to be cloud rendered anyway, unless I'm doing some training stuff, which I'll record and I'll edit myself. But this is where we're heading towards. We're heading towards this paradox where there's going to be so many machines on the market, and cryptocurrency is not going to have a utility for all these databases yet. There's no utility business-wise. Like, I don't have a business-grade utility that I need that's solved by blockchain yet. I can use it. I have some great things that, hey, here's a database that nobody can really mess with, that it watches itself and is kind of self-aware and looks for people trying to do funny stuff on the chain. That's cool. So then, hey, the system can just use that chain and know the database is good. Now you can have a database that's able to be macro sentient, right? Of watching itself, like Bitcoin does. Everybody's watching the transactions. But what is the real business use case? Like, computers had a business use case when a computer could go into a living room, and that living room became your office, and you could use Office, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint to run office work from your home. You could then write off your living room as a workspace. If you did, if I'm working 4 hours a day, see what I'm saying? If it's being used more for business than it is for comfortability time, you can write off the space. So now when I'm writing off stuff from my job, because I have a job at that time, I can write off my business expenses for the space that I'm using for my business, which now lowers my tax burden off my work taxes. Y'all, this is all a hustle. It's a tax hustle. Your goal is, how do you get back as much money of your money as possible? And they want businesses. So then, if you know the analog is dying on you, then your business needs to become digital. And if your business is digital, it isn't you selling your stuff to an independent client. It's how many clients are utilizing your digital asset distributed someplace to earn you even residuals. And then how does that happen? Again, I upload to CD Baby. I now can use that music in anything that I could create a channel specifically to do, like, Gary Vaynerchuk clip videos and play my music in the background. And then people that like Gary Vaynerchuk, and I can point links back to that stuff, and then people will watch that and share that all over the place, and all my music is getting crazy streams from that. I'm getting the YouTube algorithm royalties, right? That watermark. And that's what this game is. It's a game of numbers now. It's not a 1-to-1 exchange. It's a 1-to-1,000 exchange. I have to have 1,000 people hear my ish now, or 10,000 people hear my ish. Now, how do I do that? Well, it can't be about me. I now have to be a DJ, like a playlist. The playlist maker is the new DJ. If you make playlists, you can now create video playlists, put your music behind it, put it out there, and now you became a media company. Just like that. When you have something like this, it can interact with all these places. Like Google Calendar. You don't think you could schedule stuff, schedule meetings, have things on your sheet? That's it. All of this is here. You only have to do is hook up a database and add logic. The database stores what you need. You just got to start thinking about, what do you need? How do you begin to program your life? And it's a hard shift. You know how hard it is to sit there and say what Toxic Hustle is for folks? I can't tell you what Toxic Hustle is. I can tell you what it's been. I've created assets, media assets, for some of the largest companies in the world, whether it be me in Photoshop designing graphics for magazine covers, or graphics that went on billboards. It doesn't really matter. Or if it was graphics used for a conference to be able to get more clientele. Or if it was just a t-shirt for a company to be able to have on their employees' work clothes. Or just the logo that they wanted to put on an envelope, and they had no other business need for it. It was just for a letterhead and in an email, a letterhead. They didn't have a website. It was just for letterhead and the actual. They were creating their own envelopes. So letterhead and envelopes. That was all the logo was going to be used for. But I still get paid for how long it takes me to design the logo and the hours spent designing it and the changes over and over that happen with it. You can create service-based work. Once you create, like when I say you're going to take education, you're going to take the time that you have, the same 24 hours. You're going to learn these skill sets for yourself, and you're going to create serviceable products and services. When I mean serviceable products and services, is you can have a serviceable product. The end result is a website, right? That can be a website. And the product could be a cover, CD cover for an artist who's releasing an album. Right? I say, hey, I want to get a CD cover. All right. It's $50. It's $25 per side. So I'll charge you $50 for a front and back. Or it's $100 for a whole social media package. Right? That's what I used to do. I'm just telling you that's how I, as a producer who was creating graphics for myself, took the graphics I was making for myself, started doing it for others, and created serviceable work I could charge for. I got paid to my PayPal, I swipe my card, I go eat. I get paid half up front and half at the end. I create I know how long it takes me I do work for myself. I time things out as I'm doing them so that I can sit there and say how long it typically takes me to work. And then this way I can create an invoice and say, somebody says, hey, I want da-da-da-da. I can say, all right, well, that's going to be this much. And I do this many edits. If you need more edits than that, it's going to pad it out. You should probably pad it up in advance with this much money. And that's the same thing you'll see going to Fiverr. That's the same formula being on Fiverr or freelancer.com. It's the same formula that if you just systematically are doing that, these systems are going to just take over giving you the visibility for these things. But they're all oversaturated with all of these buildings that have been emptying for the last few years. And again, they're not hiring at the same levels they were 5 years ago, and they won't in the next 5 years because more and more robots are taking over. And this is the desktop version of this automation, and it's running right over to the front of the front of the house. Everything Microsoft is automating the PCs. NAN automates the cloud. Xano automates your database. Right? Being able to write out like this, your database can have logic in it. It can connect to APIs and pull its own data back into itself. We're in a new situation right now, y'all. Things years ago, I was like, oh, wait till they get this going. Wait till I could get a robot that can connect to a database and I can connect to APIs. Man, wait till that happens. Bong, here it is. Wait till I can visually be able to create a way to be able to design interactions with all the other places that have APIs. Bong. Right there, visually. Do this, connect it, and send it to a database. If not, like submit a form, and if something else, submit it to this database. If it does something else, come to Slack and post into a Slack message. Your whole content management, your whole customer / project management / team building system, you can automatically have it post there. This is what I mean when I said everything is being automated. That means less and less jobs. So the goal is getting your skill set on your resume, learning these tools that are going to give you an edge to potentially get into other fields of business like robotic process automation, which is a field that's going to blow past being a web developer. Meantime, between time, as you add more and more skills to your resume, you put your resume on a platform like Indeed, get these recruiters seeing your skill set, make sure you have a website where your skills can be seen. So again, put it out there, make sure they can see a portfolio, and then make sure your ish is tight. You are forever self-employed. You don't work for anyone. If you think you work for somebody, you're waiting for handouts. That's not how you got the job. You had to go out and the job didn't say, here, I want you to come be a web developer for me. No, you had to put your resume out to get that job. So that means yourself had to make a decision to go out there and get that. So yourself at any given point can make a change in the decision of what company you want to work for. And y'all have been doing that and getting more and more cash flow. But again, that's only because you're trying to keep up with what they know inflation is doing. But at some point in time, these businesses are not going to be able to keep paying that because the debt, which is also what the interest rates are also going up. Remember, businesses hold debt. And with them holding that debt, that means that what they got to pay is going to go up, right? Their interest payments go up. When their interest payments go up, what does that mean? They have less disposable income month to month, unless they're getting more sales month to month. But what if they don't? What if they're catching a slowdown like everybody else because they're relying on people that are going through the same problems as them? What's the next step you do? You start laying off. What does that then do? Spirals the same ish all over again. A person goes on the unemployment rolls. The rolls only are about 11 weeks, and then you drop off the rolls. So what? Did you get another job? You are forever self-employed because you've always got to be pivoting. I started this game you know what? I'm going to learn Photoshop so I can be a graphic designer, so I can sit there and do the photo editing and airbrush people out of folks. How did that job keep up with now, you go into Photoshop, you click on the thing and it already selects it for you. That used to take 8 hours to do. Now it's done at a click. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. I don't get $60,000 anymore for doing that. And that's what I used to get to do for just knowing Photoshop. Then I knew a thing called Dreamweaver to get HTML skills type beats, and then that gave me my 55, 60,000 again for a web designer. But then web design disappeared on a nig. And then I had to leave Citibank Private Bank, where my clients were 5 million net asset motherfuckers. And I had to leave to come learn how to be a web developer. And then I ended up taking PHP and saying that technology is going to win. That I said PHP for the win with MySQL. And I had 3 content management systems in PHP that I chose that I locked in on. PHP Nuke, PHP website, and a little program called WordPress, 1 point something the other. Then they leapfrogged and did a 2.5. And it had templating in, and I could go someplace and get a template. And when I found in a few years that they had this place called Template River? No, Graphic River Template Forest. And that I could download any WordPress template and just throw it in there, and I could turn it into any website on the planet for 20 something and less. My ninja. If I'm getting $100 or $200 or $500 to design a website and I only have to pay $24 for the layout, come on. I had clients that I could pull $2,500 and the only thing I had to do was buy a $30 MySpace layout. And of course, help them organize everything and get it done. But I just made $2,000. Oh, the times. So when I tell you what I did, like that's my old stuff. Like, hey, there's some of that still works. You might not be able to get that much, but some of that ish still works. Now, what I'm doing now is saying robotics is taking over. If you're not an artificial intelligence programmer writing artificial intelligence that writes its own code, you're not going to be in business, or you're not going to have a job in the next 10 to 15 years. So I'm like, I'm not that smart. I told y'all I barely got out of high school. I like using tools. See, what I do is I leverage tools. Like, everybody wanted to be a programmer and try to build their own app on Windows. Do you know what I did? I went ahead and learned how to do Excel and PowerPoint and all this other stuff, and I gave myself serviceable skills to get a job. And then I learned other tools like Adobe and all this stuff and used those tools to be able to get a job. Then I used software in the cloud like WordPress, and I learned how to administer servers so I could get a job. And I'm now using robots and cloud automation to be able to help clients get their name out, because, you know, you got to get attention these days. So I can keep not a job, but create a serviceable product so I can get subscriptions, because I'm tired of jobs. And the stuff that I'm doing is not to sell to y'all. This is what I sell to my clients. Like, I'm just sharing with you what I do to get, like, what I'm doing with corporate clients. Like, it's not like I'm trying to get money from you on YouTube right now that are selling. No, I have clients that still, hey, what's up, my clients that listen to me. And they are like, I tell them, here, just go to the channel and you can just listen to what I talk about, because this way we don't sit for an hour and I just say the same thing I'm going to say on the channel. I tell you the same thing I tell my clients. Hey, are you becoming your own central bank? Because they want you to be able to get on their Build Back Better plans and all this Green New Deals type beats, which means they want this whole carbon credit, electro credit type beats to start, because they're going into their Internet of Things economy, where people don't make money, robots do. Your god Elon is already making taxis to shut down Uber and Lyft, y'all. What's going to happen to all them drivers? Your pilots are not going to be flying planes. They already got drone planes that are flying by themselves. And all of these, like, y'all don't understand. Look, you see this? What is it? The drone FMV? Is that, I don't know, what is it called? Yeah, this first whatever vehicle. And like these drones that are like going like speed drones that are going 1,000,000 miles an hour and all this other stuff. And you got goggles and all that crap for this stuff. Let me make sure. Hold up. No, I don't want no. And let's go here. I'm going to speed up playback, double speed, because we're not listening to it anyway. But like, yeah, you put on your goggles, right? And you got this drone. And now look. Now, come on. Now you got a, like, really? So now we got a stick? I never knew this. You got the controller and you got a stick. So now, do you think that something's gonna be able to, once it's all this training data, that from this small, very agile thing, all of this training data, you don't think it's gonna be used in the field? Y'all, literally, DJI is literally in the field. It's in the agricultural field. This stuff, like, look at this big ass drone. In the minute, these things are gonna have enough weight to be able to fly people, and it's already happening now. I already showed these videos. So what's gonna happen to your pilots? You see, I already told my girls, like, yo, like, do you think like people are gonna want to go to an airport and sit there for an hour when the thing could potentially, they could just drive down the street to a parking lot and something could land and pick them up and go? Like, think about that. Do you think that this is all going to change? Like, I think malls could come back. Malls could become airports. Malls can become airports again. Like, I think malls can come back by doing something different. Right? So you could change how these businesses run and give these areas that have all this land mass a reason to be. Instead of parking lots for stores that nobody goes to, it could be like, you fly in and you got to go through that building to be able to come out to the street, right? You just got to change how these things look. And now you could potentially have them shopping and buying in and out because they're coming in to fly out and they're going. So you have a reason for that thing to be there other than I'm going to shop, to shop, to shop. No, I'm going there and, hey, on the way in, since I flew in, there's a supermarket here. Let me get some food. Hey, there's a grower here. Let me get this. Hey, let me get this over here. I can get my necessities flying in and out. And I might be having to fly into a meeting someplace or doing this, and it's localized, but it's closer. Like maybe I'm flying to Tennessee for an evening to chill out. Like we could change how this landscape is going to run. And I want to for y'all to start seeing these little micro changes in business. Again, understand if you work remote, your time is different. 12 hours of your day comes back remote, y'all. This is why I stopped giving up my time like that to jobs. If I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to your place, I'm starting my day working for you to get there. If I don't get home till 6 o'clock in the evening, that is 6 to 6, y'all, you've given them 12 hours of your life to commute to a computer. Bozo move 2024. None of these companies are going to be doing that stuff and still be in the stock market. That's just dumb. I'm not voting. I'm not voting with my money to buy a stock in a company that still thinks 3 buildings and spending on 3 buildings is a smart investment, a smart cash allocation. No, CEO, sit your ass at home. You're really not even that important because in the future, CEOs are going to be outsourced to robots. Robots or automation or automated systems are going to be able to do more and interact better for the business in real time than any CEO will, and the CEO will be out of a job. They will just be like I am, the strategy officer. ToxicHustle's mine. But I am not the CEO because I do not believe a CEO is going to be running a business. I believe that algorithms are going to run businesses better than people will in real time. 24/7 internationally, being able to disseminate data and get that data being able to be used to create media content that gets promoted to social media at scale. For actual utility purposes that earn royalties based off the fact that Facebook and all these places watermark your ish and give you royalties. So all I gotta do is just get a signature to play. How I use it doesn't matter if I give a link back to the creator of said content and free fair use, right? We all that fair use ish. I'm gonna use it back on them. Come at them with the same energy you come at me with, bruh. But again, everything is automating from the desktop to the road top is automating, y'all. The farm is automating. What comes out of the farm? Farms are going to become energy companies. Farms are energy businesses. That's why I'm looking at farmland, yo. That's methane. Methane turns turbines. Turbines create energy. Energy is going to be stored in these electro batteries. Stop playing with me. That battery can now be used for Raspberry Pi robots that could be doing some actual physical work, or it could be for a server rack that has GPUs that are rendering actual stuff that's needed for commercials that are going out on social media. For clients that actually need it done, and there's an actual fee that's being transacted, and that machine is getting a payment, and whoever is maintaining those machines gets a fraction of the residuals. Come on now. We're learning it from crypto. You're just taking the business model and waiting for utility. The idea is there. Makes sense. IT people have been managing machines. What we're doing is saying every machine should have its own IT someplace else. Stop trying to have IT in one central location. Let's decentralize the IT infrastructure and figure out how to build decentralized businesses. And this way, this data makes sense. We're just early, y'all. Mad early. And meantime, between time, what do I tell y'all? I'm trying to get utility, not just in how I use my music, how I am as an artist, how to make sure I can get my time right. Like I said, I'm getting ready to do something that's going to start blowing people's minds back. I'm opening up the entire process of how albums are created. But first and foremost is, look, you are your self-employed person. You got to get your own weight up. You got to be your own central bank. So how are you making money? How are you, like, you get royalties now? Okay, if you're a label, what do? You don't just pay yourself. You buy some type of asset, and that asset should appreciate in value. I showed y'all what I do with robots, those trading robots, and I've been using them throughout this entire dip. Dip. Then I'm looking at resources, making sure I look at my finances, make sure I keep my budgets, like I showed you with the software. Then I'm looking at local resources, farmland and farmers. How do I get food locally? Just so I'm not just trusting going to a supermarket all day. Go buy half a freaking cow. Get an extra freaking refrigerator if you want meat. You see what's going on with these chickens. If you really want some chicken, find some local resource chickens, have them prep it out for you, and buy a bulk of them and put them away. Start creating products and services. Like, I can't beat this into anybody ahead enough. I have to do this. Like, I have to create a product and service because I can't rely on music to pay my rent. I need 1 million streams per month, which is like a couple $1,000s a month, which not gonna pay my bills if it's like my bills are like $4,000 a month. So music cannot be my bread and butter right now. But that's okay. I don't need to rape my music like that. What I've got to do is I got to treat it as the asset it is. So I'll let it build its residuals slowly by putting it on CD Baby and getting my royalties on everything that I utilize it with. And then promote it on all the networks that are giving me my royalties that they pay me. And meantime, between time, begin to get myself more utility out of it, but also giving myself some type of skill set that's going to give me some type of subscription to be able to make some type of residuals. Like, I already have 2 subscription products, and one of those is the InStudio. ToxicHustle presents my InStudio, where it's going to be a subscription service where I show you how to beatbox to create an entire song and the workflow I do to do that. Like, everything. Like, these songs are going on my album. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to record them. Not going to be live streaming because that's just too much resource intensive. But I'll record everything. I'll build it out as a courseware. One of the initial things I'll put out so that people can just see the baseline of how everything is working out. But if people want in depth of how I'm working certain things for certain songs, I'm going to have a subscription for people to see how these albums are being built out almost in real time. That's one of the things I've been working on, and how like the audio that how I get my audio, what am I using to be able to create the stream? How am I going to create the content? How do I create a subscription system? How do I create some type of user management and some type of role-based system so people can subscribe to something and get access to specific things? Like, you may not care about how I'm investing, and you don't want any of the investor side stuff when we're doing the investment newsletter, and that goes out for $4.99. Well, then you don't need that, right? So then you don't have to do that. Maybe you just want the production side of things, so then you can just have that. Maybe something in the future where we do a marketplace where we're able to do some type of promotional marketplace. Well, then maybe there's something for that. So it's basically you determine your level of involvement. Fight Club rules. Because at this point, and this idea that I'm doing, don't think I'm doing this just for music. This is what I even tell businesses that I've been working with. Like I told a chef, I said, hey, you probably are going to want to stop looking for employees because you're not going to find anybody. So what you're probably going to end up having to do is go out here and create ownership opportunities where chefs who have the skill set are led down a landing page and a funnel so that basically they raise their hands. That they, it's not a funnel to sell them something, it's a funnel to raise your hand and kind of filter out the people that are looking for a handout. Right now, you need other chefs that want to take ownership of a small portion of your business that you can give them an incentive and a portion of the residuals that are coming in a way that gives them, it's not you just get an hourly salary. That they have ownership in the business and can do something in it. Like, hey, create recipes, and hey, if that recipe even gets cooked by somebody else and we have you tied in, hey, you can still get micro points or micro residuals that comes in the fact that you put the recipe in the first place and it's being used. And developing great menu items that get sold, and the successful menu items win. When you have companies, and then I'm just going to put in Flippy, right? This is a search term. Oh, wow. Under images, Flippy robot, right? We just do that and go to news, right? And I'll also do images. You go to the news, Panera is getting ready to start using robotics inside their chains. Every chain is going to, as the robots get smarter. Every single robot that rolls out for all these fast food chains are sending data back to the main database, and that algorithm is getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Soon that 19-year-old, 20-year-old's not going to be necessary. The entire McDonald's will be end-to-end automated. How it gets deliveries, those deliveries getting offloaded. Sir God Elon is getting robots called Optimus rolling out next year, supposedly. But if he don't do it, they're all working on it. Sony, all of them. Everybody's working on their biped robots. Been working on them for years, but the AI has gotten so good that now, and of course the Wi-Fi and the 5G, the Wi-Fi 6, the IP6 protocols, all of these things that are making how data bits move back and forth faster and faster and faster, is to the point where it won't matter how far these machines are from the core logic of the system if they're processing faster than neurons in our brains, faster than my hand moving left to right. These things have done that 17 times over. Right? When these systems are now driving our roadways, unloading our trucks, unloading pallets, shipping material, printing and manufacturing from base materials themselves, like and being able to manufacture these things themselves, who's going to buy these things? Who's all this stuff that all these robots are going to create so cheap? Who's buying them? Are you getting the education, or you having the skill set that's going to give you a livable salary to pay the $90,000 a year you need just to be able to kind of have a decent standard of living? A couple years ago, $40,000 in the South, man, you felt like a king. $1,800 for an apartment a month. When did Georgia become New York City? Well, I guess the same time Texas got California prices, right? And Florida, well, they've just been crazy all the time in prices. I lived there enough to see that. multiple times over, especially Miami. How do you complete products? That's one of the reasons I'm creating my course. It's how do you complete a whole song? How do you get a whole song done and then create an album, get that whole thing done, or at least a project? It could be an EP. I'll do something small as it works towards something big. Then how do you put that out for distribution? How do you get your royalties? And then what's next? There'll be a new marketing segment that goes out after that. Because then I'll have to figure that out as well, which I'm going to be using my system, but I'm already telling you what I'm doing now. But then I'll be automating that system and coming up with all the stuff that's necessary to broadcast. And then how do you become a broadcast player to earn your royalties? What's important to you? Well, if you're in CD Baby, downloading your CSV data and then being able to do analytics on it. Right? How many people are how much are you generating? What's generating the most cash flow? Where is it being streamed? What is the platforms that are getting you the most views? Do you have a workflow that speeds up the process to create serviceable content? That's what this first thing is now. Once I have the system in place, it's then how do I create catalog fast? Then after I begin creating catalog fast is how I distribute catalog and get utility out of it. And there, my tribe is how you build your media business. But just understand, everybody, Chipotle, tortilla chip cooking robot, Flippy. So that's Chipotle as well as Panera. Panera 1 day ago, Chipotle 1 month ago. And you're going to see month over month over month, another company put it in, another company put it in, another company put it in. It's already frying fries and flipping burgers. It can already fry chicken. Ain't that like the staples of America? Fries, fried chicken, and burgers? Other things make pizza already. Robots already make their own pizza. And you can use Flippy to do that too if you want. Now they're crowdfunding 4 weeks ago? Chill. Chipotle. White Castle was one of the first ones. And White Castle's also going to over to the West Coast. I think Vegas. This is Miso Robotics. Right? MISO. Miso Robotics. This company, shoot. When they get on the market, like all of these, like Chipotle, who else? Somebody else has got to be. I know somebody else did. White Castle. Small businesses. As restaurants, this is May of 2021, right? Last year. Robots scramble for workers. It's order up for Miso Robotics. And it's burger flipping robot. So all of this automation, y'all, like from the desktop to the road top to front of house, back of house in a restaurant business, all automated. When you're dealing with websites are about to get smarter so that they can be a part of the sales process. Because you can't have a salesperson, especially if the salesperson's doing the same thing that they've been always doing. There's a sales pitch. So why do I need a human to try to sell something? Why can't my website be my secret salesman? If it knows how to speak to a person and it fills a form, and then you have a talk track or an email chain that can go back and forth to a customer, and based off of their responses, give them other responses. If this, then that. If this, then that. Could you not program your own communication way visually through something like this? Yes, you can. As I told you, Microsoft's already in the desktop automation, y'all. They bought the company that I was using to automate stuff back at Canon USA. They bought that company out. I know how to pick software. This software right here is the N8N of the. This is the WordPress of automation. This is N8N. Is the WordPress of automation. This ish is going to kick ass. And I'm telling you, this is going to kick ass. Xano, this right here is crazy. This is a database that can connect to an API that can store its own data. And as of right now, it's unlimited in the API department. So I can sit there and have this thing running as my entire backend. Unlimited records of data. I can hold 10 gigabytes of storage, but wait a minute, if it connects to APIs, couldn't I then just send it to a place that stores data like Amazon or something like that? Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me show you something. Right? Okay. What did I show you? I said Xano, right? Xano does APIs. Let me see if there's a. So HTTPS. Apps and nodes. Hold on. Right here, HTTP request. This is, so right now, this thing right here, this HTTP request means I can connect to anything on the web. Means I can now create an API here, because this is what it does, and now I can have this interact directly with that database. I can now have the database write to this and vice versa, back to back to back. Okay, now what does this connect to? This is what I mean when I said you're gonna this is supercharging websites now, right? This thing, let's just say you wanted to do WordPress. Bang, WordPress is in there, right? There's a node for that. Let's say you want to do Bubble, like I'm working with Bubble right now. Bang, Bubble's built in there. What does that mean? That means I can create, delete, get all, update anything that's in the databases in Bubble from one location. Means I don't have to program my shit in Bubble. I can program my ish here and just manage it from one location. This is what I mean when I said websites are going to, that's a website. Now, what happens if somebody logs in, they're clicking on stuff, and I can do stuff like interact with this and have it do things like mail stuff, right? You can interact with CoinGecko getting blockchain data. So if you need a blockchain data for specific things for your application, you can get it on the back end here. You can interact with shipping with DHL. You can interact with a Discord, so you can have your own chat system. You can use Discuss, Facebook triggers, right? Google Calendar, BigQuery, it's another database, Google Chat. So if you want like a chat system, Google Contacts, Google Drive. So you can create an account that's in Google and just have this system that just is, the entire Google system could be managed from N8N. Google Slides, Google Sheets. MailChimp. So again, just like Zapier, now you can connect to mail and send mail out. You can send SMS or text messages. You can use content management system. You can use Microsoft Teams. Like, look at every place that you can get data from or use their data. Notion. This is huge. This is a database inside a database inside a database. You can build damn near anything in Notion and then now collect that data and use it to build other things and do other automations. Like what I'm about to do with this and N8N is going to be crazy. The type of content and applications I'm going to build with this. PayPal, so I can interact with PayPal and do like if you receive a payment, if you give them access to this. Right, so I can have on the back end a management system that can control how users get access to stuff. That's not on the website doing that, so I don't have to worry about the website getting hacked to do that. I can have that off-site. someplace else that manages the system. This thing can even manage lights, y'all. So like you can sit there and use the Philips Hue system. Like let's say you had a DJ show and then you wanted to have like triggers and all that stuff. You could like do crazy stuff with this that can control terrestrial objects. And I'm going to be doing something with that too. So that's why I say I've got ideas like to create DJ shows where I have physical lights in like a room, a production room that's managed by my actual robot that's listening to the music and like going through a visualization set that's keeping in time with it. So now I can do shows where you can kind of see me working on stuff, but like there's other interactions going on and things look dope in my room. Like, you know what I mean? So things like that. Shopify. So let's say I had businesses or clients that I'm working with Shopify. Now I can interact with Shopify and I can manage their Shopify business. You see where I'm getting at? I'm talking about managing people's businesses. Oh, how many people are on Shopify? How many clients? How many people of those Shopify clients know how to market their product? How about if I go out here and I create commercials for these Shopify clients and say, hey, I'd love to promote your product. I can create these commercials. Even if the client says no, I still can utilize that video on my portfolio and keep it up there until I get a client that's in their field that actually says yes, then yank their stuff down and put that client that says yes up. And now, bang, I keep that client on my page full time. See what I'm saying? And use the same template until somebody says yes. Say, hey, this is what your commercial could look like. Are you interested in it? Yeah, I'd love that. Okay, boom. We can change out some of this stuff and get your message across, blah, 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 blah. See, that's where you're thinking for clients. That's where you're helping your clients get visibility. Again, I want to offload the utility of my music. My music needs to be attached to video. I need video to do something for a corporate client so that it actually has a use case that is beneficial for them to earn money. So that if they earn money, they come back to me to get more business or get more of my services to help make them more money with their business. We can't be a leech in a recessionary time. This is what making your business recessionary proof is. How low can you lower down prices so that you're not taking too much from everyone, and you're going to have to get more people there, but you have to create a business model that allows you to kind of scale. So it doesn't always rely on you. There's a good book by Timothy Ferriss called 4-Hour Workweek. I suggest people read it because it gives you an introduction to the outsourcing mindset. You've got to begin to outsource your work. You've got to begin to partner up with people that can help you scale your business. You can't do it by yourself. If you do think you can do it by yourself, you don't really have a business. You have a job disguised as a business. This software like this, when I was working for that social media influencer, this was the type of software I was trying to tell him. Like, I found a way to lower the cost by $10,000 a year for his marketing expenses, and he didn't want to listen. This is why I say I can't tell you, just like I can't tell him, the value of the information that I tell you. All I can tell you is I started this game in digital back in 1992, when my staff sergeant in the USMC told me to buy Microsoft at $5 a share, and I didn't listen. What I missed was computers were going to go into every home, but it wasn't that what I said, oh, only nerds want computers so that they can play their games. No, what I didn't catch was the living room would be written off as an office because you had office grade suite in your home. And if you could do work from your home could be written off as an asset, making your house or your apartment a business asset. You could now turn any location into a business asset. That's what I missed. a technological shift that the home office was going to be born and was going to be the leading factor of corporations because they outsourced all their work to India, i.e., people were working from homes. They didn't have no big warehouse infrastructure in India in the 90s. They had people working out of a little house that had internet and had electricity and some computers that they built themselves. Same in China. Same in Japan, where I was when I saw just how deep this technological thing was going to go and what the robots were potentially going to do. I had no idea that we were going to have desktop robots till I got to Citibank. Didn't know nothing about those robots. Were called macros back in the day. I think the program was called Mac. Oh, is this thing still here? Hold up. Hold up. I'm going to show you something that the game hasn't changed, y'all, for the most part. This was one of the first macro programs I used on Windows. If file exists, do something. If text exists, do this. This is a macro. This is now robotic process automation. How long has this thing been here? Let me go to Soft Ink because I think they're going to give me the date. It was updated 2 years ago. It's been around since Windows 98 second edition, y'all. That's how old this is. I can't even give you a date of when they actually uploaded this the first time. But what I can tell you right now is this thing is from Windows 98. So again, Windows 98 second edition. Right? Macros that you had in your Excel to be able to write your Excel sheets. Like this whole thing, the programmable databases. Excel changed everything. You could create your own accounting sheets for your own business based off of what you needed, not what you could try to get a company to program for you. Because back in the day, you had to get a programmer into your business, right, to be able to build the applications you needed to be able to do database businesses. When you had Excel go into your office, all of a sudden you could write. You could hire somebody to just learn Excel, and now they're just learning Excel. You didn't need a developer. You didn't have to get a $200,000 entity. You could now get somebody for, say, $60,000. Now you can get the same person for $19,000. See, the technology keeps going down because its utility and usefulness drops. A PHP developer could make $250,000 a year. That number keeps going down every single year. Just like when I was a Photoshop designer could get 50 grand off rip. Easy. You could get 50 grand. Not no more. A secretary had, by the time I left Citibank, a secretary on her resume, you could be a secretary, executive secretary, you needed Photoshop skills. And the executive secretary was getting $40,000 a year. So you still had to do all of your executive secretary work, plus you had to have Photoshop. Like, how greedy is that? How dingy is that ish? But that's just how it is. Surface level skills. You can then make people learn the things you need if you put it in your resume. I mean, put it in not your resume, put it in your business job descriptions. So back in the day, I saw this coming, and I've been at it this long. And now it is an entire new field called robotic process automation, i.e. macros type beat. Here's how you hack. Here's how you hack titles. See why I look at titles? I'm going to show you why I look at titles. While ZipRecruiter is seeing hourly salaries as high as 173,500 and as low as 19,500, because there's some smaller robotic process automation things that you can do, and there's higher. But look, your baseline is you start at around 20 grand. What if this was on your free time? Y'all dig me? What I'm showing you through all the stuff that I'm doing is a landscape of a business skill. Zapier is robotic process automation. That's why I said you can get 19,000 on the low end. What if I'm able to build robotic process integrated systems and install them and set them up? Don't you think I'm on this side of the equation? When I can spin up a server and put a robotic process code on the server, giving that piece of machinery and that real estate value, and now I can either get a rental fee for that value, or somebody can pay me to be able to build the building or vessel or machine that they can control themselves, i.e. piece of property type beats. Does not sound like real estate? This is what I was trying to explain to the dude that was an influencer in the real estate world. I was like, what you don't see is that the web is real estate. Your domain is a domain, like a street address, right? You don't go to grid number, grid plot, blah, 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 blah. No, you go to 152 dot whatever, 5275 Crasberry Lane, blah, 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 blah. Hey now, Witcha, Kansas. Right? That's where you're from. Dot 34402, whatever, right? Your zip code. That's where you go to get to the routing to be able to navigate to your fit. You have a textual address. That's the same thing you have for don't have is the actual physical property to sit it down on. So think of it like a home, like basically a home. But the home just has a name, it has no structure. What happens when all of a sudden you have a coding and a language and everything else, and you can take that domain and you can move the domain around, and the only thing you're changing is IP addresses, the machines. How many people now go to that thing monthly, daily? That's no different than what people worry about with malls, right? What's their foot traffic per day, per week, per month, per quarter, per annum? Same thing for a website. How many people they get a day, per week, per month, per quarter, per annum? How many people come there per day gives that X amount of visibility, gives me access to either sell a property, or I could get advertising back in the day, but it doesn't even make sense getting advertising because then you're not really getting any money unless you're doing affiliate marketing. But then now you can sell real estate plots or places where you can put banners on that piece of property. So like billboards on a piece of land, and people can click on the billboard and go directly to the website, unlike driving down and trying to remember what that .com or telephone number was. So your business model physically and your digital one still the same. If you know how to look at it, the entire process hasn't changed. You just had to take away the visual representation and see the practical representation. How did I learn this? I was in Second Life going into these clubs inside the virtual world and having to buy billboards. But the difference was those billboards, you could click on it and it warped you to your store. So you could sell products. So you bought a billboard in a mall place to get the visibility, or a club or something like that to get the visibility. People club and teleport out. They would pay rent to be able to be a part of that billboard. You'd pay either a monthly rent or a nightly rent or a weekly rent to be able to rent out that board. And you would have a code that was made. So the person that made that code for that 3D object that would show your graphic to be able to do that. Somebody sold that code and he was making money off that. And the person that then bought the code to be able to put it in there, they're making amount for rental. And then the person is buying the banner to leave to go and click back to their location or their work point. How is that different than going to Facebook and paying Facebook for advertising and somebody clicking and going to your website, but you're paying a premium? How is that different than going to YouTube and paying for advertising on YouTube and people going to that on a premium? But the only thing you're doing is making sure that, hey, with my data, I'm only going to market to the people that are actually going to buy from me. So I need to know my data, who are my customers, so I can repeat the process of finding them over and over again. Or I need to create a process to be able to find them, have them raise their hand, funnel type beats, and bring them in to be able to do a transaction. But that's every website on the planet. Not funnel like what we're talking about with SMZoo / all these music producers. I'm talking about, hey, I have a client that has a pizza place and he needs to get on social media, but he doesn't know how to do it. But I, as a producer, have been putting things on social media for years, so it's easy for me. So I created a serviceable service that I promote, and then he happens to find it because I promoted in my area that says I could da. And now I put a link, so when they click on the link, they go to a page, and now they fill out the form and say, hey, I'm interested in your service work. Here's my budget. And I just make sure the budget's what I'm willing to work with. And even then, I'm telling them, hey, here's the service options I have. Like, I made it real simple. I'll just create something that has service options. And these are the service options for my marketing. Blah, blah, blah will get you this. Blah, blah, blah will get you this. And blah, blah, blah will get you that. I couldn't do that before without all this automation. Now that I have this, could I not build a system to be able to manage all of the intricacies of all of that? Yep. That's what we get now. You get these tools that would have cost you tens of thousands of dollars, but you've got to first save some money in your pocket to buy the subscriptions necessary to build your business. Then you take those subscriptions and next year you write them the hell off on your taxes from the job you got. But you've already got an office in your house that you're writing off. Like, get yourself TurboTax, hook up your daggone accounting software to TurboTax and write off your stuff. I like FreshBooks. Hook it into TurboTax, hooked into like a QuickBooks, or you can use QuickBooks and hook that into TurboTax and then get all your stuff written off. I use just the standard freaking deductions because the itemized got me freaking audited. I was like, you know what? I was going to make more money just taking the standard deductions. I took less money to just do the itemized so I could be cute and glamorous, and then got audited. So I was like, you know what? Screw that. I don't want to go through that shit no more. Boom. I can just take the standard deductions. Oh, these are all the things I get. I'm going to get more money. You know what? Let me just get my more money. Exactly what I'm going to do for this tax season. What I do for every tax season. And I get done in about a day. You got to give your time to the government every year for these damn taxes. But as I'm showing you, the business of what is coming, what they're looking for, doesn't matter what you want. Doesn't matter the jobs you think you're going to have. I'm saying that companies right now are pivoting. And they're pivoting to automation. And that automation is white collar and blue collar. So that means from sitting on your ass to standing on your feet to sitting on your ass driving, all of that is coming to a stop within the next 5 to 10 years. So between time, you've got time to start figuring out how you're going to have a product, service, or double up on your royalties, and then learning how to at least work with market cycles and be able to invest. If you're willing to begin to start becoming your own damn central bank, then maybe you can get through this crap. But if you're going to keep relying on the current dimwits that seem to be, we're still, it's transitory. It's transitory. It's transitory. Yeah, everything's effing transitory. You know, the recession of 2008 was transitory. It didn't last forever. It stopped when you started printing money again. Back in 2001 is when you started really printing money heavy. You've been kicking down the transitory for a very long time. It's transitory, but you keep printing money. And in a minute, you can't keep printing your money out of this. In a minute, somebody's going to have some serviceable work. You're going to have to do something to get paid. You can't just sit around and not do anything. And that's exactly why Social Security is going to fail. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's why a lot of these 401ks that are getting their ass handed to them, because the people don't realize that idiots are managing money. The same in it, y'all. Let me do something with y'all. Check this out. Do you realize the same people that can't balance their checkbooks control the checkbooks of the government? Let me say that again. The people that cannot control their own checkbooks are controlled with your state and local money and your federal money, but they can't manage their own checkbooks. And all of them are in a popularity contest. So now you've got Hollywood ass thought processes with loose checkbooks and idiots who can't manage their own checkbook, managing your tax dollars. There is no new work. All new work is coming to automation. And in a minute, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do. Who's still going to be safe? Well, I can mow the lawns. No, you're not. Robotic lawnmower. We're just going to copy this word robotic so I ain't got to do this a whole bunch of times. So I'm just going to, no, actually, I'm just going to keep robotic. And we're just going to keep changing this. Robotic lawnmower. Robotic forklift. Boom. Robotic forklift. Robotic taxi. Robotic taxis. Robotic private planes. Because you know it goes to the rich first. Right? So we're gonna go robotic private planes. Or drones. Or what they call EVTOL. Right? VTOL. Electric. Right? So now there's your like your drones. I think this one is the one that is the more consumer line. Right? So you have your drones that are for military personnel, and these that are for the private citizens. And then you've got Sir Guy and Elon. Right? You've got these old robots, and then, of course, I thought that at least the god Elon's robot would be shown here. Robotic. There's Optimus, which they want to start rolling out. So if you look at Amazon's warehouses, if you look at the robotic farm, we just did this, which is my last two videos is really about that, is the fact that even and like the type of flippy robot that can spray different types of not pesticides but other natural pesticides. You can have These, I showed you the machines where these machines are being able to not only farm land, but farm vines, farm trees, pick strawberries, gentle, something that could be bruised. They pick that. So you don't need foreign people coming in to go into the farmland. So why are we going to import people? Like, the importing was for what? For putting them for slaughtering cattle? Okay, that's going to, oh, wait, that's going to be robotic. Right? There you go. The meat industry using the same type of robots in the meat industry, y'all. So what we needed to import people for was what? Our fields for our grain, our dairy department, robotic dairy. Right? Dairy farm, robotic dairy farms. So dairy, there you go. Got these machines driving around, feeding and doing all that stuff, right? So you got your dairy farms, you've got your meat plants, right? That are robotic. So those are all the places we were importing. The fields are now going robotic. We were importing people for that. So again, y'all, at the point where we were importing labor foreign to go to the field, do we now need that? No. So then what was our next import? Our import was not really import, but outsource to India and all these other places to be able to get service labor work. Well, now, do we actually need that anymore? No, because what we were asking them to build for the most part was technology. We're asking them to build enterprise level applications and manage these enterprise level applications. What's happened? These content management systems are now becoming a robotic system, and it's based off data, based off of every independent business doing their own thing. That's why I said this game that is happening ain't gonna change what's happening. Don't think this thing's changing on you. It ain't. Don't let the good taste fool you. This game is done for us as physical personnel. Now, can you invest in these companies? Of course you can. You're going to have to start looking at that. You're going to have to look at the companies that are going to put you out of work or put people that you know out of work. And you're going to have to potentially probably invest in some of these companies. Or you're going to have to come up with some type of service and or product for yourself to survive. Or you're going to have some type of serviceable skill that people are going to want to use from you in the next 2 years. 2024 is probably going to be the next rampant investment cycle day to day. So that is basically what we dealing with, y'all. So, like I told you before, y'all get prepared. Utilize your time. Get your time right. Start getting all your ducks in the row, because your ability to utilize this, the dollar, and how much you can buy with this is going down. We are in crypto winter. We are in an automation super cycle that is going to be removing more and more labor. We're seeing it from all the physical jobs, and we're seeing it from now the serviceable and managerial and executive level positions. That means that these people are not going to get their $400,000 a year, their $200,000 a year type beats no more, because the system don't need you for that. It means I don't need 25 people when I only need 5. It means I don't need 5 when I only need 2. We're going to see business transition into very, very lean organizations. That's what happens when recessions make their ugly head, which, again, what they said was 2 quarters, which we're already in. fourth quarter of last year. We just finished the first quarter of this year, and all economic indicators say that we have higher inflation, and that while yes, jobs are higher, they are nowhere near what's necessary at the rate of where jobs are being lost to automation. Nobody's really doing that subset, and they refuse to, because then people will be terrified. What happens when you don't even know how to use a computer, and now you're being told that you better learn how to program them? Oh, and what's going to be even worse is when they say, we really don't even need you to program them. We need you to learn how to do data analysis. Oh. And then what happens when they're like, well, I don't even need you for that because I can actually have the computer figure that out for itself by using software that just does analytics on its own. That's what Salesforce does. So just get prepared, y'all. Start putting yourself out of business by looking at how automation is going to put you out of business, so you can begin to put yourself first in this transition and be able to make the pivots necessary to continue to ride the wave of cash flow that will move from other industries into other industries. Right now, that industry is going to go back into marketing to promote, to be able to get visibility for products, because everybody needs to sell something when nobody wants to buy anything. And with that, I'm done. As always, my tribe, my people, I wish you blessings. I wish you strength. I wish you to see what you need to see to be able to pivot and navigate through these obstacles, which are all they are, and be able to find your way through them, because at the end of the day, these transitions don't stop, don't quit. They just multiply. They don't, like baby's kids. They don't die, they multiply. So just pivot past them and everything's going to be all right. You just have to be all right. Stay ahead of the curve. See where all the technology is going and be where it meets up. Don't be where it misses out. And as always, y'all be safe out on these streets. And I'm going to holler